The 71st Cannes Film Festival kicked off last night with the world premiere of Iranian director Asghar Farhadi's Everybody Knows. It's a Spanish-language film set in the countryside outside Madrid. Lisa Nesselson joins me now from the French Riviera. Lisa, hello, good to see you. Now tell us more then about this opening film.
Hello. Well, first of all, just a personal thank you for not referring to this event as glitzy or glamorous. Indeed, it is that, but only at the gala screenings in the evenings. It is my mission to remind the world that there are 40,000 people here from 160 countries, and this event is devoted entirely to talking about viewing, buying, and selling motion pictures, and also the festival using its clout as the world's biggest film event to stand up for people in oppressive places where their talents as filmmakers are not necessarily appreciated by the people in charge. We'll get to that a little more later. But last night's film, Everybody Knows, I'm happy to report, has this morning or late last night been sold to the English-speaking world. So if you're out there in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, the US, Canada, you will be able to see it. It stars Penelope Cruz, Javier Bardem, and the wonderful Argentine actor Ricardo Darin. Penelope Cruz, who's been living in Argentina, her character goes back to the small town she was raised in Spain for a wedding, and life-changing events strike out at her once she gets there. I'd like to say that when the cast and crew went into the gala screening last night, everything was still as they had known it. When they came out to news that President Donald Trump had, torn up an arrangement, a diplomatic arrangement that had painstakingly been reached, and that's kind of amazing that on the biggest night probably of their lives so far, when they went into that theater behind me, one thing was happening in the world, and they came out another. This reminds me of when Michael Moore won the top prize, the Golden Palm, for Fahrenheit 9/11, and at the press conference he was asked, well, what do you think George W. Bush thinks of this? And Michael Moore said, does he even know what this is? So I very much doubt that Donald Trump is aware how talented so many Iranian filmmakers are.
So, Lisa, that's the first film that was shown. Let's skip ahead to the last film that will be shown, or perhaps not. 20 years in the making, Terry Gilliam's The Man Who Killed Don Quixote is in jeopardy right now.
It is indeed. We're waiting for a legal decision in the course of the day, because this has been going back and forth between the most recent producer, a gentleman named Paulo Branco. Well, some people wouldn't call him a gentleman. In fact, I was standing about a foot away from one of the very high-ranking people at this event who said, well, everybody in France knows that he's a sleazy con man. Be that as it may, he's managed to produce hundreds of films, including this one, until he wasn't producing it anymore. The first stab at doing this, Gilliam, started 20 years ago. He lost his main actor. Johnny Depp was attached to it for a while. The main actor injured himself, then died. He's been, in the wilderness for a long time, tilting at windmills. He finally got it made with other financing, but the guy who thought he had the rights to it filed an injunction saying, no, the festival can't show it until I get €3.5 million. And so it's been in various courts in various European countries, and now it's down to the French courts to make a decision about whether it can be shown or not. Fingers crossed, because I'm sure it's an interesting piece of work.
Would you like to see Don Quixote de la Mancha?
I do.
Sancho? You crazy peasant. You think you can hide from me?
We shall have such great adventures together.
Don Quixote de la Mancha.
Come to restore the lost age of chivalry.
Well, I wrote that.
Blasphemer! The hand of our God in heaven wrote me.
Can I read?
A peasant like you cannot read. I will sound the words, and you can look at the pictures.
Well, you've probably heard about the upheaval of May 1968, and this festival actually came to a complete halt after just a few days in solidarity with the workers. And as a result of that, the 50th edition of a section that was founded here called the Directors Fortnight, the Quinzaine des Réalisateurs, is opening this evening. They'll be giving a special award to Martin Scorsese, who showed his film Mean Streets here many, many years ago. He's back to receive this award. And the 50th edition creation of this sidebar that was dedicated to showing movies that were riskier, more experimental, more interesting, because keep in mind, until 1972, there was nobody really programming this festival. Every country submitted the film that they thought best represented them. And with the upheaval of May 1968, filmmakers and directors started saying, you know what, we have other things to say, and what was a relatively sedate event turned into the behemoth that we know today. So happy birthday to the Quinzaine des Réalisateurs, Directors Fortnight, and also a word about this evening's competition film, Leto, which I believe translates as summer, directed by the Russian director Kirill Sebresnikov, who is unfortunately under house arrest in his native Russia. It's a story about the influence of Western music in the 1980s in the Soviet Union, and the director, who's very active in theater, I believe this is his second motion picture, has been arrested for allegedly embezzling funds or misspending them. So the festival, through diplomatic channels, attempted to get him here to accompany to the film. Alas, we'll only have the film, but it promises to be interesting.
All right, thank you very much, Lisa Nesselson, with an update there from the Cannes Film Festival.